YouTuber Mark Rober recently released a video. He's been working on this project for like 3 years, but he wanted to do the world's highest egg drop, right? And so he thought, where could we possibly hire to drop an egg from but space? So he sent up an egg to space and tried a bunch of times, never really worked, and eventually, Joe, you want to talk about what he realized?
Yeah, so basically his original plan to save the egg from the drop was have it up in space, and then as it's coming down, he wanted to put it on like a missile kind of, or like a rocket.
He wanted to put it on a trajectory that lands on the
he wanted to guide the rocket and then just have the rocket drop it on like a super soft foam mat so that he didn't need any other contraptions with it. And let's just play the clip right now. And he basically realized that this wasn't going to work.
And you're doing terminal guidance to something about the size of a house. How are you going to do that? How do you do that? I mean, I know how you physically do that. How do you not get busted by the FAA?
In other words, we were basically attempting to make a precision-guided missile.
Dude, there are thousands of people who have done this before, and they are sworn by federal law not to say a single word to you.
And to be fair, he raised a good point.
Yeah. Yeah, so he basically realized, I'm teaching people how to make a precision-guided missile. I probably shouldn't upload this on YouTube for everyone to go and copy and try to emulate.
But so how deep was he in it until he realized that?
Oh, he was like years in, wasn't he?
Like 2 years in.
He was 2 years in, and then he tried to talk to this guy for help, and the guy's like, you probably shouldn't do this.
And it's just like, oh, wait.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Wait, so is he just like a YouTuber then, or like?
Yeah. He's a former NASA engineer.
Oh, okay.
And he I don't know why he quit his job. He never,
I think because of YouTube mostly.
Yeah, well now he
YouTube
basically
better.
just
I think
does,
he
he
was
uploads
making
like one video a month of just crazy engineering random stuff.
And
Or
did
it's
he have like a team?
Yeah, I mean he had people help him, but you can tell he's a really smart dude. Like he put technology on the Mars rover, like he helped to work on it to put it onto Mars. So like
he has technology that's currently on Mars that he built, which is awesome. But the guy he was working with is another YouTuber. I don't know his name, but he does engineering stuff mostly with rockets. But the thing about the other guy is he's never gotten an engineering degree or anything like that. He's completely self-taught. So he was working with this other guy, NASA engineer and self-taught rocket YouTuber.
Yeah.
And they were trying to, basically what they found out was they're trying to build a missile.
Yeah.
Which is not good.
It's
But
basically-
anyway, he did eventually, they pivoted and they figured out another way to put the rocket, or the egg back
So,
on Earth.
are there just not any regulations for like building missiles? Like that you would think that the government would be like, hey, like take it easy with the precision missiles, in case like what if you just like fire it into like
Well, I
a
feel
village
like,
of
I mean, but there's
people?
there's no explosives on it. He was only building the missile.
Sure, but I feel like that could go so wrong.
Oh, I'm sure it could.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously the government wasn't at this point spying on them yet. You're like, okay, stop doing that.
You think like after they release this, the government like email them like, hey, like
Did the
Never
government
do
just
this again.
emailed them?
Well, maybe
Yeah,
maybe
sent
if they
them a
released
DM.
the video they were initially planning on releasing, they would have gotten some emails from the FBI.
But here's the thing: they still kind of talked about how they wanted to make it work, like how they were going to make the precision guided missile work, like how they were going to control it with the fins in midair. But I don't know if were they going to go more in depth if that ended up being what they did.
Yeah, I don't know, because the fins didn't work. They tried with the fins and
it didn't work. So yeah. All right.
Okay.
Anyways, we can
Do you
now
want to see the
pivot.
actual drop?
Oh, we can take a look.
yeah, let's see it. We're already here. Isn't it true that like you drop a penny from the Empire State Building, it could
No,
kill a man?
that's
Or is
not
that a
true.
myth?
It's because it'll reach its terminal velocity. It doesn't, like dropping it from the Empire State Building or it's dropping it from space is the same thing.
And the terminal velocity of a penny, since it's really light, is like not that much. Plus, there's almost no chance that it'll fall straight down. It'll spin.
Yeah.
And so the terminal velocity when it's just falling straight down, like on its like vertical axis, is probably pretty high. But when it's flat, like a circle,
Yeah.
the terminal velocity is not going to be that high.
Right.
So,
Could you do that just like I didn't get it? Could you do that again?
Yeah, so he put it in like this special weather balloon. And it ripped.
It popped, which is what they were intending on happening. And they tried to follow it down. They didn't really see where it went. But then eventually it landed in this field. They opened it
Yeah,
up.
they're out in the boonies.
And what do you know?
It worked.
They got their little leg out of there. Their rocket.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Pretty
we'll
dope.
tie a egg drop. Pretty awesome.
Do you have that AI video with that's more clear that I tried to show last time?
Well, it still might be unclear. In the final cut of the video, I made it clear.
Oh,
Because-
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's segue. Unless you guys have anything else.
No.
All right. Let's go back to the other thread. All right. So there's been like a bunch of breakthroughs on AI, and I know we talk about AI a lot, but like like the revolution's literally here. Like we're on the frontier. So I stumbled on this thread the other day, and this woman says, I trained an AI chatbot to like scrape my childhood journal entries, and she basically like created a characterization of her like inner child using AI so that she could talk with it, and it was like some like therapeutic thing. So the concept is wild, but she goes in and like talks about how she did it, like how she kept journals for like decades, and then she took all that data, put it into an algorithm, and you just read some of her dialogue, and she makes like real like psychological breakthroughs, and she says that like you think about it and it could be dumb, like it could just be like some robotic response where it's like, all right, that's like not really me, but she says it sounds like her, and it's like it resonates with her so deeply that like she feels that it's actually her like younger self. So she just goes through like deep realizations that she got from it, basically just how this was like a life altering experience. And it's just like, this is what we were talking, like the last couple episodes ago, we were talking about what if you could bring Socrates back and like talk with him, or they have that now too. I was listening to a podcast, and the guy, I forget what site it is, but they just came out with that too. So he was like talking to like Socrates. He said he was talking to like, they have like a Giga Chad. Person that he was talking to, which was pretty funny.
Did they just use Andrew Tate as the trainer for that?
Probably, I have no idea. But and then she basically like says like how you could do this. So I haven't looked into like how you would go about doing that, but that to me is pretty crazy. Just like another like unlikely use of AI that you wouldn't think of. So I thought that was wild. Any thoughts on that? Or should we move on? All right, let's move on. Next one. This, I don't have a Business Insider.
Business
Yeah.
Insider.
Or a Bloomberg. Sometimes I can just. I'll just give like I'll just talk about this while we pull it up. So this happened. This dropped yesterday, I think. Pull it up. You guys have heard of OpenAI, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the leading company that's like doing all the revolutionary AI research. And they just released, like they came up with like the DALL-E software where it's like you type in like the Mona Lisa but in Mario Kart
And then,
style with a man instead. And it'll just come up with a bunch of like
Images.
crazy outputs that look like some graphic artist did it. But yeah, so they're on the front line. They came out with this new AI chatbot, and the applications for it are just absolutely wild. Like you can sign up right now for the free version. So I was playing around with it, but here are some things that people have been doing with it. Like what you can do is if you have a software idea, you can like say what you want to do and like what language you want it type in, and it'll type out like lines of code for you. And
Like it'll program for you, or you just tell them what you want it to make?
You can say, hey, log into my email and send a quick
thank you
to my boss.
Oh gosh.
And it'll do that for you. Literally log in.
That is
and sign
wild.
in. You can have a music idea. Like this guy, he said, write a piano piece in the style of Mozart for the song Piano Sonata in C major, and it literally comes up with a bunch of alterations.
Oh my gosh.
Legit music. Let's see another use. You can have virtual assistant, like how many hours do I have scheduled meetings this week? You give it access to your calendar, it can do that. It's just like the applications of this are crazy, and people are saying that it's so good at writing essays, long form blog posts, Twitter threads, literally anything. People are saying like the college essay, the research paper, the take home research paper are out the window, because you can't as a teacher, you can't scan this for plagiarism, because it's different every time. It's an algorithm that's gonna come up with some new creative piece every time.
Oh my
so
gosh,
as a teacher, how do you
that was sick.
against that?
Did you see what he just said?
No, what did
He
you do?
just went into the HTML. It was like invisible text, and he just changed it to visible.
Except I didn't get the full article. I only got like that much.
Alright, that's enough though. We can just riff off this. But basically, like the gist, like it's taking the internet by storm. People are talking about its ability to replace everything from playwrights to college essays. So you guys need to try this out for yourself and just riff off, like just play with it. Like
Can you use this for free?
Yeah. You can
So
sign up right
how
now.
do you do that? Is it just
You go to their website and then just create a free account.
you just do that on your
It's
computer?
a beta version right now.
Well, let's look at.
Yeah,
I want
can
to
we
look
do
at
that right
what
now?
that sign up process
But
looks like.
here's the crazy thing. So we were talking about lucid dreaming last time. There was a period of time when I was looking into lucid dreaming like really hard, like really trying to do it. And I read like a couple books on it, read a ton of like blog posts on it, did a lot of of my own experience lucid dreaming, like what works for me. I asked this AI, like, how do you lucid dream? Comes up with like 10 bullet points that like basically synthesize everything I've like discovered on my own time from reading books, my own experience, talking with people. Like, dude, that's insane power to just.
Yeah. I don't remember who was talking about this, but somebody was saying that that's probably the Google of the future. Like instead of Google pulling up a bunch of different websites
that
with
other
results,
people have posted. It'll
yeah,
just make
it just
own.
synthesizes all the results,
And it's personalized to you.
Yeah, and it gives you that, and then it'll also give you the websites and the links. But the main thing it'll show you is this is the answer that you want to see, because, I mean,
It's the consensus.
It'll be able to bring it all together instantly for you.
And OpenAI claims that the more you like generate responses and like delete stuff and like are satisfied with this response, it'll learn how you think, what you want, and it'll personalize to you. And if it knows your email and like stuff about you, like if I'm Google right now, I'm shaking in my boots like, where is this gonna go if they can deliver a customized, personal, discussion-based, like you can ask it a question, like I typed in like, what do I do if my girlfriend broke up with me? And then it answers, and like, okay, so you're saying this, like, what does that mean? Or how should I proceed with that? And it'll keep, like, keep going on your response. It's like a discussion with, like, a supportive friend. Like, as Google, how do you compete with that? That's just...
Well, Google has to enter into this if they want to compete. You know, they have to get into AI.
I feel like that's almost scary on a whole new level, because a lot of times people are, the whole argument, people are afraid of Google like selling their information and all that, because this like gets a lot deeper of an understanding of you than I feel like Google does, like in terms of your tendencies and not just what you're searching up. So I feel like that's another thing that you got to take into account.
Yeah, the other potentially problematic thing is people always talk about how on YouTube, social media, people become radicalized because they keep getting more radical content, right? Because the content is like geared towards them.
Yeah.
But if your Google search results are only showing you like
your preferences.
your preference and your ideas, or like the thing that confirms your ideas, then that's going to make you that's going to potentially increase that problem. Okay, Roman, so how do we sign up for this thing? I just want to see what the process is like.
Click on the top one.
It's called GPT-3.
Oh, it is?
Chat GPT-3.
GPT.
So, yeah. And then you gotta like sign up in a Google account, whatever.
We're going to create a bot our OpenAI account.
Just continue with
Yeah,
Google.
no,
and
do
use
it
your
with our,
Google account.
and then sign into our Barnour account.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Barn
just continue.
hour.
I'll be my phone number.
Okay, I'm gonna fill the silence here by talking about Lex Friedman and his take on, because you guys know he's like an MIT researcher, professor, computer scientist. He's like talking about building a startup for AI because his ultimate goal is that he sees this and a lot of people pull back and they're like, this is a problem, like AI is gonna take over, blah, blah, blah. And he's on the other side, he says like, no man, AI is gonna be our friends, it's gonna be our companions, it's gonna feel loneliness, we're gonna feel connected to it. So he wants to create a startup that's basically gonna create like these AI companions that we befriend, which I think is an interesting take, because have you guys seen like Ex Machina? Have you heard about that movie though? Like what happens? Like basically the premise is that the guy falls in love with this AI, and I haven't watched it through, but I think that leads in some unfortunate circumstances. But it just makes me personally, I get deeply uncomfortable with the, like, as humans, we what's it called? Anthropomorphize?
Yeah,
where you project humanity onto things that aren't animate. So like a lot of animals will be like, oh, that's so cute, he's like supporting his buddy, when in reality it's like not that at all.
Yeah.
But we just like have that template that we apply to a bunch of different things. If we start doing that to AI, it's no longer just the cute bunny that like is helping his friend, and it's like, oh, that's cute. It's like an ultra smart, crazy power, literally could do whatever it wants, like software engine that we're like, oh, like that's my friend. It's like, is it? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Did you figure it out?
No, I sent the code to you because it wasn't coming to me. Did you get a code?
Yeah.
All right.
666 397. Oh,
Dude, this literally.
that's a
is
sign.
Like, talk about market.
Oh, it said I won't receive credits.
Say I'm exploring personally.
You might need.
I'm gonna say.
Personal use. Dude, this might use my credits though.
No, it said it won't use.
Okay. So you go to playground at the top right.
Okay. Playground.
And then, okay, so here's how it works. Temperature is if you go 1, that's ultimate creativity. It's just gonna come up with a lot more variability in its responses.
Okay,
if
so
you
it's
go
from
to
0 to
0.1, that's like it's gonna try and answer your question as directly as possible.
Okay.
So like you can toggle the amount of randomness you want in your response.
Well, let's start with the completely random response.
And then you could also do the word length, like 256 is what we're at. So I think that's
that's
pretty
fine.
good.
All right,
Okay, so what should I write a tagline for an ice cream shop? What should I explore right now?
Dude, it's up to you.
What's a question that we talk about on our podcast frequently?
Actually, let's ask about Moloch and the.
Oh, I already did that.
Did you?
But you can do it again.
Wait,
yeah,
so
it's
it'll
actually
be a
pretty
different
good.
answer.
Yeah, it'll be different
Billionaires-
because our temperature's all the way up.
Wait, what's our question? Do billionaires have a secret society?
At Bohemian Grove.
At Bohemian Grove. Okay.
Submit.
What?
Oh, it's because it's on your.
it's because it's on mine. It said I don't have any tokens.
Well, I have the
So why does it limit how much you can do?
I don't know. I thought it was free, but you might have to pay for it. But so I'm not saying we did this, but we experimented with it. Me and a buddy, unnamed buddy. We had an assignment for apes. It was like, what are like, how did the film Don't Look Up on Netflix make you view climate change and politics differently? So we go like that prompt, write a 4-paragraph essay, set the word count to like 650.
Oh my
Bro.
gosh.
It was like better than I could write. Like, it was like, and you could just see it like generate line after line after line after line. It's like, as a teacher, we might have to, or as a education society, whatever, we might have to go to paper only essays.
yeah.
Because there's no way to know.
Well, not even paper only, but like monitored while you're writing the essay.
Yeah.
Because I mean, anybody can go on this and then just copy it down on paper.
Yeah.
Granted, that's not as easy, but it's really no different.
Yeah, like you can't take it home. You have to like constantly monitor their screens.
Yeah. And some people might say like, oh, really, what's the issue? If AI is able to do this, why do humans need to be able to if we can just always go to an AI tool? But it's like, when we use a service like this or a software where it's just giving us information, instead of owning the information in our own brains, we're just renting it basically.
Yeah.
So then we become stupid.
Yeah.
I personally, when I first saw this, it was like initial like, oh, that's cool. And then I started to think about it, and like I got this like deep feeling in my chest. I was just like sadness. And like, if I just realized like we just passed a point where we're never going to be able to tell, online at least, what's real and what's not. What's genuine, what's sincere, what's actually heartfelt. Like, this guy could go on and on about a heartfelt story about trials that he went through, lessons he learned. Meanwhile, it could just be AI, like,
Yeah.
and how do you know? Like, it just like, it's a whole new territory. And we were talking about creativity a couple episodes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the effect of like human creativity, human potential, human art, I don't know. It might lessen.
Yeah, at
Who
the
knows?
same time, there are some things that humans or that robots are already better at humans than, like even without a lot of this crazy AI stuff, that we still want to see humans do. Like for example, chess. Like, no, even Magnus Carlsen can't beat the best chess engine.
That's true.
But people still watch. I mean, not that many people watch chess, but the people no fewer people watch chess now than they did before they were able to be beaten by robots. Right? People still want the human competition, the human edge. I don't know what it is, but there's something human that people don't find in robots that people want to see.
I think that's why that's so sad, that's why we feel like, or at least I do, feel sadness for this. But like for that's evenly split between, okay, on this side this is human, on this side it's AI. Like we know the division. Mm-hmm. When you're talking about Twitter threads or blog posts or anything of that sort, art on the street, art online, how do you, like, the division is not so clear. And like maybe it's not completely AI generated, maybe there's a little bit of both, but does that also kind of take away if you're leaning on AI to create this play script or novel or whatever? Like I don't know.
Well, because I think part of the thing that is, we have kind of talked about this before, but what's impressive to people is the hard work of humans or the creativity of humans. And if you can't tell whether something or not was created by an AI or human, it can take away that value.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Can we segue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Because I think we're just gonna repeat what we already talked
I
about.
agree.
You got
Okay,
anything?
Let's go. Wow, I have a lot of tabs open.
Operation Fishbowl.
Let's talk about what dropped on Twitter yesterday.
Yeah, that's where you went to.
By the time this episode comes out, it'll probably be a couple weeks. but the Twitter files from Matt Taibbi. I honestly don't know who this is, but I think he's kind of one of Elon's henchmen because Elon was tweeting before this came out. He's like, Twitter files dropping today.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, this guy, so this thread, there are going to be multiple, but this one is just talking about the Hunter Biden laptop story, which was like, I don't know, like right before the election. And Twitter used its influence to completely silence the story. Even, and you can see the emails, he has screenshots of a whole bunch of emails. Like, here's some more to review from the Biden team, right? This is Twitter executives. And then another Twitter executive says, all right, this stuff from Biden team is handled.
What do you mean?
So is that like they're deleting them?
Yeah. What does that
Okay,
mean?
so I don't know exactly what it means, like more to review, but I think the Biden team says, all right, these are tweets that we don't want to see.
Okay.
And then,
It's like a committee that handles.
Oh,
the,
so like getting rid of
bylaws.
tweets from the past?
uh-huh.
Oh, that's good.
Okay. And then, yeah, so here you can see what kind of money has been paid in order to silence stuff on Twitter. So
Yo.
there is obviously some from the Republicans as well, but most of it is on the left side. But
Wait, so is
that's-
that money to just like delete tweets and stuff?
Yeah, well, money to Twitter in order to basically influence how they want it to.
Well, I didn't realize that
Influence the
Twitter
results.
was receiving money.
Yeah.
Yo, what?
But
Is this
it was
confirmed?
based on
I mean,
He's verified.
he paid
By
$8.
Twitter, by Twitter.
Okay, so what else was I gonna say with this? Oh yeah, so the laptop story, that was the main thing. So normally, so they censor the link. So if anybody clicks on the link from Twitter to the New York Post article, it would just say this article is not accessible because, and the claim they used is that it violates, per checking the user was bounced for violating the hacked materials policy.
Dude.
Right, because, okay, so the justification they used is we don't know where this information came from. Maybe somebody hacked Hunter Biden's laptop and that's where it's from. So that's the justification they used. And then there are all these emails from Twitter executives saying, is this hacked materials thing really gonna, like, this guy says, we don't have some kind of solid reasoning for marking the link unsafe.
It's just ideology based.
Right. But one tool they use, which has never been used for something like that before, is even if you sent somebody the link within a Twitter direct message, it still would censor it. So like they've used that tool before to censor child pornography, which is good, obviously. They should be censoring that, even in DMs. But this kind of thing, like this is political, and it's from the New York Post too, which is not like some sort of Alex Jones type place.
Infowars.
Right. It's like a left-leaning source, typically.
Wait, so that New York Post article, can you access that as long as it's not through Twitter, basically?
Yeah.
And they're just basically making it so you can't go to that link through Twitter?
Yes, but it was kind of pushed down by everybody else as well. Like Facebook kind of hushed it, and you know, a lot of the left-leaning news sources were like, no, we're not.
Are you
we're not
able to
gonna
like
touch
pull that up? No.
But
Like just
let
to,
me
like,
see.
is it still up on the internet?
Hunter Biden laptop?
Did you guys see the photo that Elon posted when he like infiltrated the Twitter headquarters of like all the woke T-shirts and like the closet? And he's just like, what?
Wait, what are you saying?
So like when Elon took over and he like entered the headquarters because he bought it.
Is it that one? New York Post.
Yeah, this one.
Guess not.
Say that again, Roman.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't paying attention to you at all.
Well, so he like bought Twitter and he walked in and he like fired a bunch of people or whatever.
Oh yeah,
And
he's like, you better be ready to work.
well, that he did a bunch of like weird things that people were like, it was controversial. But he posted on his Twitter. He's like, I was just walking around the headquarters and I found this like in the closet.
Oh, yeah,
it's
the
just like
t-shirt.
bunches of hashtag Stay Woke t-shirts.
Yeah.
It's just like,
What is this?
yeah, what is this?
Yeah. And then he posted the picture of the stay at work. Is that what you're saying?
Stay woke.
Right. But then he made okay. I won't show it. But after he posted that, he posted another one that says hashtag Stay at Work because a bunch of Twitter employees were leaving.
Dude, and then did you see the thing where he had all the coders print out like all their code? So they were printing out like hundreds and hundreds of pages, and then like a day later, he's like, actually, we're not gonna do that. So then they printed out all that stuff for literally nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. Elon's a weird guy. But anyway, okay, yeah. So this is the original story. You can access it on Google, but. It was really, really hush when it happened, and obviously because they didn't want it to affect the election, because this was when was this released, like October 2020.
So
that's like right in the heat of the election season. Okay, so anyway, should we talk about Kanye?
Or unless you guys want to, like, what are your guys' thoughts on the Elon Twitter thing? Let's. We're already on this.
Okay, yeah. One other thing that I saw is since this happened, they've said that they'll do a Twitter Files 2, Twitter Files 3, whatever, where they expose different issues, different scandals. And one person I saw tweeted something about elections being meddled with in other countries too. So then Elon responded to that tweet. He said, yeah, we'll look into that. It seems like there may have been a whole bunch of Twitter collusion, whatever you call it, in the Brazil election as well. So this is happening kind of all over the world because Twitter is,
it's powerful.
Yeah, it's kind of the town square. It's where a lot of people get their news.
What do you guys think about the idea that an ultra mega billionaire can just come in and like stage a coup basically? He like brought some of his guys from SpaceX and Neuralink, like his chief officers, and they just literally just took over. And like now this guy who already has crazy power, now he literally is like, he owns so much influence. Like you said, Twitter is like a place where people are really influenced. Mm-hmm. I don't know, because we talked about Alex Jones, and someone asked Elon, like I don't know if you guys follow him on Twitter or whatever, he's been talking about like his mission is like free speech and we're gonna turn it around, and I'm for the people, I'm for liberty, whatever, which sounds good, but then someone's like, hey, you haven't let Alex Jones back on Twitter. And his response was something like, yeah, I don't support anyone who uses dead kids to gain like influence, because like the Sandy Hook thing, did you guys hear about that?
Oh yeah.
You know what happened there, where he's like, it wasn't real,
right? And
he was like getting in the faces of the Sandy Hook survivors, whatever. So I mean, he talks about free speech, and like giving everyone a platform, equal representation, whatever, but then he won't give Alex Jones a platform, which is problematic.
And also yesterday he kicked off Kanye. Did you see that?
Did he actually?
Yeah, Kanye suspended. Which it's like,
that's the problem.
Well, hypocritical.
I know. Well, okay, so people are all upset about all these accounts getting banned, like the Babylon Bee, Jordan Peterson. I don't know what else are accounts that are like fairly central. Like these are not crazy bad accounts. Both of them were actually for the same. I think Matt Walsh as well, although he's further right than either Babylon Bee or Jordan Peterson. But I think all three of those were for the same reason. It's because they disagreed with the transgender ideology. So Babylon Bee, they posted an article. Do you know what Babylon Bee is? It's a satire site. And so they posted an article. They named, there was this like Anyway, they called a transgender person Man of the Year. Okay. And so that was the article, and they got banned for that. And then Jordan Peterson said something also against the trans agenda, and he got canned for that. And same with Matt Walsh. I think they're all back now. So that's kind of like, okay, you probably shouldn't get banned for that, right? Mm-hmm. But then Kanye comes along. He starts saying all of these things.
I like Hitler.
Yeah.
Right. He said, I like Hitler on Alex Jones's thing. So, Elon has nothing to do with that.
Dude, can we just talk about that? How if Alex Jones is like, whoa, take it easy. I don't agree with that. Then
You're too far. You're way too far.
You're rock bottom there.
But then when Kanye came back to Twitter and posted a swastika inside of a
Star of David.
Star of David.
Dude, what?
On Twitter.
What
And it's
happened?
so that's what he got banned for, and it's like that gets to the point where it's maybe crossing the line. Like, yeah, it's free speech, but it's hard to hard to say, right?
Against a certain group of people.
It's really against a certain group of people,
It's like a
and
threat.
also it could be inciting violence. So that's where it becomes actually not protected.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
it's such a slippery slope.
I know.
And especially if it's one guy who has that influence. Like, you also have like Jeff Bezos, who owns like Washington Post, and then you have like something with, I forget what the story was, but Bill Gates like was under criticism, a bunch of criticism for something, and then he
For the microchips, the vaccine.
something like that, or like the fake meat that he's like trying to generate, something like that. So then he like pushed money at like the media sources to slowly push his image. But it's just like, if you have those ultra billionaires who have that much influence, like in a capitalistic society, how do you get around that? Like, that's just, it seems like that's almost inevitable with the system that we have. But
And
I don't know.
this is kind of fighting against that, this whole Twitter files thing, where he's finally exposing a lot of the stuff that's been happening, but then at the same time he's also banning new people, which is like, but should they be banned? I don't know, that's kind of the question.
But then, like, do you want government regulation? I don't. Like, because then the government is just going to, like, because then it's like Big Brother.
Yeah.
So it's like someone has to control it. Who is that?
Or
gonna
maybe
be?
nobody has to control it, but then does it get out of hand?
That's like
then
that's like the argument for like decentralization with like crypto and Web3 and all that, which I don't 100% understand. But the idea is that
No one owns it.
no one owns it. The people own it, which is cool.
I mean, that's just the problem with privately owned media, is they, especially with something as big as Twitter, is they just have way too much power in controlling what people see and what people don't see. And I feel like what you're getting at there with the crypto is like, that actually could be, if stuff like this never gets fixed, like that could be where people want to end up gearing towards, is just decentralization.
Yeah. The other thing is, on the same day yesterday that Kanye was suspended from Twitter, there's this one guy, I don't remember his name, but he's the leader of this huge neo-Nazi group, like really, really anti-Semitic. He was put back on Twitter, reinstated yesterday. And so people were like, what's up here, right? And so it's hard to say, because he actually released a tweet as soon as he got back on. He's like, I will follow all the Twitter rules. If I get banned, it's not because I broke the rules. It's just because of like who I am. So he claims that he's going to follow the Twitter rules, and that means not posting hateful things, like really hateful. So
I got two things
Yeah.
to say. Number one is like, that's so wild that like people like that still exist.
yeah,
Like, we think about like anti-Semitism and like the rise of Nazi Germany as being something that was like a century ago.
I mean, it was pretty much at this point.
But like there are still like spindles and like roots that are still in our society today, and it's like not even like like 2% of the population could be still like a huge group of people. So even if it's like not that big compared to like the population today, that's still like a bunch of people that are operating under like, they're basically living in a different world than us. Like we can't even fathom like the tools that they're using to like view reality right now. That's just wild. And then I also want to say, have you guys seen the Kanye documentary? It's like Yeezus or like
I haven't,
Genius or something like that. It's like some play on
Genius or
words. Yeah, something like that. It's a pretty good documentary. It gets a little long, but the studio sessions are cool to watch. But he, you see like his transformation. Like he started as like a fairly articulate guy who was a genius at music, and like he was social. He was like, you see like the social interactions he has with like his home, like his friends, and like his mom. His mom was it, like, I've never seen someone so close to their mom. Like and you see it like that. The documentary does a amazing job of conveying how close he was to his mom. Like she's there all the time. She's in the studio. She's at his apartment. You just see in the way he looks at her, stuff like that. She died, like shortly before like the Life of Pablo came out. That album came out, so like 2015, 2016, and you just see it, dude. He falls off. Like he just one second he's normal, articulate, he's fine, he's fairly rational. Like he's, I don't know, like he's a little eccentric, but he's like still like there. And then she dies, and dude, that like you could just see that like he got like ripped apart from that, and then he slowly starts to like descend into just like madness. And it's just like, I think that's what did him in, was his mom like dying. It's just sad to see, and you could just see it unravel online.
But
Stuff that he does.
what causes somebody to go from pain to
Hate.
just hatred of a group of people?
Yeah, I'm curious how that happened. Like, did he have any predisposition at all to Jews before his mom died or anything like that?
Who knows?
Yeah.
It's just interesting because it's like, I think he might have already had bipolar before, with like some traces of mental illness in his family, maybe hereditary. But it's like, maybe we're not as far away from delirium and insanity as we like to think. Like that's at least that was the sense that I get from it, because he was fine, dude. He like, and then he just went from like 0 to 100. It's just, it like, say that we have a series of events in our lives, like parents die, we lose a couple limbs, like stuff like that. How close are we to the edge? It's just, it's uncomfortable to think about, but it's like, are we as honest with ourselves as we like should be?
Yeah, you just have to reflect, what is it that you're grounded in? Because if you're only grounded in one thing, like for Kanye, you're saying it was his mom, and his mom died, then what is there for him?
Yeah.
You know, you gotta recognize that and think, what am I grounded in, and how would I move on if that goes away?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyways.
That's wild. I have, we were talking about, just how
I should go ahead.
you keep telling me. I'll pull something. These Twitter files, and how, how was I gonna tie this in? Okay, basically how the elite have this immense power, and in Plato's book, The Republic, which was written like 2,500 years ago, he was talking about how democracy, which he thinks is kind of bad, to be honest, how that turns into tyranny. He goes from how each stage of government can turn into a worse version. So he talks about how democracy can turn into tyranny, and he says that democratic people call insolence good brewing, license, like promiscuity, liberty, extravagance, generosity, and shamelessness, courage. So people kind of distort these ideas and then they fall into them. And then he goes on to say, you find that the minds of the citizens become so sensitive that the least vestige of restraint is resented as intolerable. So just the sensitivity of, like, so that's kind of the argument for free speech, is saying we're just becoming so sensitive and you're trying to ban this speech, but that banning is just, it's turning into tyranny, right? Mm-hmm. It's becoming, you're becoming intolerant, even when you're saying that you are infinitely tolerant, right?
Well, there's a difference between hurting someone's feelings and inciting people to like overthrow the Capitol.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a line, and it's, I don't know the right answer, but it's, yeah. So this right here, all these guys on the left were elite figures in the Nazi regime, high-ranking officials, Hitler's like chiefs of staff, his engineers, scientists, etc. After World War II and the Nazis were overthrown, whatever, stopped in their tracks, people don't talk about this as much. Have you guys heard about this? The U.S. like took Nazi guys and like, yeah, you can come over here and help us with NASA, with like the European Union Commission, with NATO, United Nations. Like it wasn't just the U.S. They were also elected to like international unions, but like these are guys who helped to, you know, like inflict suffering on Jews, like kill millions of people over their idea of world domination, and then we're just like inviting them over to rule our politics.
Yeah, I feel like there has to be more to the story than just this image, though. Like, what turned Werner von Braun into the head of NASA?
Well, yeah, I mean, I doubt he just like got.
How did Walter Hallstein become the head of the EU Commission? You know, it wasn't just
overnight. He got captured, and then the U.S. is like, "You want to come work for NASA?"
Yeah.
Like that. I feel like that didn't happen.
Werner von Braun obviously was a really brilliant scientist, and so NASA.
Let's look at the biography. Well, I feel like this will probably leave
But
out
that's
the.
like, they're not going to talk about what he did.
Yeah.
But the fact remains that he was a Nazi.
Yeah.
Like, imagine that today. Like, this dude during our lifetime was a Nazi. And now
Like imagine like we
that alone, even if he's like great at engineering like rockets, like how do you just like have like, you just see him in the break room getting coffee, like, oh, that dude was a Nazi. Like,
well, yeah, imagine like right now we just like took some guy, one of like Putin's right hand man, and just take him. He's like, you should come work for us.
yeah,
Like we wouldn't just allow that. I feel like,
it's nuts.
or we'd like to think we wouldn't.
Yeah, it's weird.
Alright, so he helped to develop like rockets and whatever for Nazi Germany. So like maybe he wasn't directly involved in whatever, like killing civilians. But I mean, the fact remains that he was in Germany during this time, and he was working to add power to the Nazi Party. So I don't know. I just think it's crazy.
And like, look, he applied for it to be a member of the Nazi Party. Like he went out of his way to join it.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that.
Although I guess you never know. He could have been like coerced into it or something. Like they're like, you apply to join the Nazi party or we're killing you.
And also, what year did they say it was?
1937.
That's before
Yeah.
stuff started happening, right? So he's probably like, oh yeah, Hitler, this guy's gonna fix the German economy, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe he had no, but still, it's wild. I don't know how this stuff happens. General Hans Kammler, that's different.
What are they saying here with the slave labor?
Von Braun admitted visiting the slave labor camp, but was not a
So
part
you
of
felt helpless to change the situation because of what you were trade at. But like, dude, that's something that you would say.
Yeah, that's exactly
that's exactly
that's exactly what you say.
Yeah, I saw.
It's exactly what you'd say regardless of your position and your
Exactly.
attitude toward it. So you don't really know.
I don't know. That's just weird. But anything else?
I don't have anything.
Come on, guys, we gotta read.
Get a riff. How much time do
We got 10 minutes,
Do we really?
don't we? We got 9 minutes. Okay, I actually have something that's crazy. So, here's a crazy fact. Taking the average of, like 7 numbers, add them all together, divide it by 7, right? That's taking the average.
Yep.
That was discovered after calculus, trigonometry,
No, there's no
and
way.
geometry. Yes, this is literally a fact.
There's just absolutely no way.
Yes, it's true, bro.
Like that concept wasn't invented, or I feel like that's just something that's way more intuitive. 16th century.
From 2 to n.
This is from the words of Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Really?
Let's see if I just looked it up, dude.
Actually, I almost kind of believe that. Because a lot of the time, like back, like negative numbers were not a thing until like after calculus was invented either.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if that's exactly true, but like negative numbers weren't a thing forever. And like when they were trying to figure out like arithmetic and multiplication, it's not like they would write on the page like 3 times 5. It was more like geometric and stuff. They'd be like 3 times 5 is 15, but if you have a rectangle with side 3 and side 5, the area is 15 type of thing. Like it was way more geometric and less rooted in numbers.
Yeah, that's why there was a huge fight over the invention of imaginary numbers.
Yeah.
The square root of -1 because. Oh yeah, you found it.
Wait, mean value theorem. No, I think
That's different.
That's part of calculus.
That's calculus.
Is it okay?
What was I saying? Oh yeah, the imaginary numbers. There was this huge fight over, and it was in like the 15th, 16th century, over, because this one guy was saying, yeah, this is a real thing and it will have applications, and these other guys were like, you can't do that because geometrically it doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't
work out.
Yeah.
And then eventually, obviously, Schrodinger came along and used imaginary numbers to, like, develop the position of electrons within an atom, which is just absurd.
So I don't know if I couldn't find a way to verify it, but might not be true. But I just think it's wild to think about like actually going through the work to like discover trig or calculate. Like, how smart do you have to be? Like, it's hard enough right now to like take the teacher's word for it and then implement it. Like, imagine having to like find your way through calculus on your own and like having to verify everything and like what is this and piecing this together. Like, we can't even fathom how like intelligent those guys were.
Yeah, I mean, in my head, the way stuff like that has to be invented is like you see a problem and you think, how can I use mathematics to like express this problem? So you're like, okay, I want to find like the slope of this line or whatever at any given point. So like, and then you just start doodling random things. It's like, oh, I'll multiply the power down or whatever. I'll drop the whatever, I'll do the chain. Like, you have to think of all these crazy things to express, and then I feel like verifying that it's correct is almost just as difficult.
Yeah. That brings up the question: is math
Invented
invented
or
or
discovered?
discovered? What do you think?
How would it be invented?
Well, okay, so either math is just an invention that we are trying to apply to the outside universe, or the discovery is the whole universe is like intelligently created, and there is some sort of there's some sort of way we can discover mathematically that each thing works out, and so we're just working towards discovering how that is.
Like, so would you be saying that math is like a template that we use in order to like do
Like,
things
is
in
math
reality?
universal? I feel like it's kind of what you're
Yeah.
getting at. Like, say we ran into some aliens across the galaxy, would they have discovered all the same things in math as us and express the same ideas in a somewhat similar way?
I think so. Because we use math to do things, like we're bounded by laws of reality. So we figured that out, and like math is just the way that we operate in reality, like engineering, like building things. I think the way that you find out if math is like invented or not is like, does it function in real life? If it does, then
It's universal.
well then that's proof that it's like grounded in reality, right? A part of reality. No?
But okay, I guess the counter argument is these are just models that we've created to predict reality, but reality doesn't necessarily follow these models.
Yeah, because then you get into like quantum quantum mechanics or whatever, where it's like the atom, you're predicting where the atom, it's not super clear to me, but the atom, once you get down to the microscopic level, it behaves in ways that we don't understand.
Yeah.
So then you get into like, you're just predicting how it works.
But at the same time, there
That's
is
not
the
like
Schrodinger wave equation, which predicts, the probability of
Yeah.
an electron being in a certain location.
Have you guys, okay, how much time do we have? This brings me 4 minutes. Have you guys heard about the Copenhagen experiments, where he basically, his conclusion, I don't 100% understand it, but it was concerning quantum mechanics, and he basically found that like the I believe it was like the atoms or like the particles or whatever at the like microscopic level, at the smallest level that they could measure at that time, would behave differently if there was conscious attention directed on it than whether there was no attention on it. So it was like, in some way or another, it might have been discounted, but the very act of like paying attention to the particles or having some presence there was like altering the way that they behave.
Yeah, I think that's called quantum entanglement, where basically the idea is until
Something's observed.
until
not
it's
real or
observed,
whatever.
it's not. There is no
Knowledge. It doesn't exist, kind of.
there is no definite state, basically, right?
Oh yeah, like Schrodinger's cat. Like, so you have a cat in a box. There's a 50% chance of it being dead, 50% chance of it being alive, and until you open the box, is it either both dead and alive, or neither dead or alive?
I think probably neither.
Yeah, it's until you actually observe it, it doesn't exist in either of those states, which
So-
is kind of, isn't that supposed? Is that like kind of accepted to be true? Or is that more an interpretation of what quantum mechanics is?
Well, that's kind of just like a way of explaining quantum mechanics. But it's until a particle interacts or becomes entangled with another particle, it doesn't have a definite state. Copenhagen.
Simple terms.
Like,
But in all possible states at the same, pause on that for a second.
never mind.
So yeah, that's the same thing as the cat. The cat could either be dead or alive, so therefore it is both dead and alive. until you observe it.
Until
Is that like if a tree falls in a forest and nobody hears it? Is that kind of the same thing?
yeah,
Or does it really?
It's,
Like, did it really fall? Is that?
No, I think
It's-
that's slightly different, but that's
It's a
the same
similar
idea of like being observed or not. Like, did it actually?
yeah, it's a similar idea, but when a tree falls in a forest, it does make a noise because it doesn't have to be entangled with a human. It has to be
Yeah,
entangled with
other
other
particles.
particles.
Alright, so Wikipedia says like this is like a version of the interpretation, so I guess it's like there's some debate around it. But like some guys are arguing that like consciousness has some
Consciousness, measurement, and observation have an effect on the laws of nature.
Okay, well,
I think this is beyond.
yeah,
is beyond
quantum
all of us.
mechanics is beyond
Yeah.
our knowledge pool. So let's end it there. All right, that's the pod.
Don't forget to say your prayers and may God bless you.